Okay, gang, if we can all join back. So, I hope I didn't bore you or overwhelm you with all the videos. But that's an overview of Catholic social teaching. And it gives you an idea that actually it's all connected. You know, one can't be separated out from the other. And so, but I think the one for us to really focus on right now is solidarity. As I was asked to come and do this presentation, I was asked to do a presentation on social justice, specifically to dignity of the human being. And so we're going to talk about that. The reason for social justice is because in all of our humanity and our sin, constantly throughout the world, certain members of society become marginalized, you know, and they get pushed off to the side. And what happens is when that happens, they become objectified. So what that means is that certain people are considered lesser than and are neglected. And the problem with that is that we don't get to make that call. You know? We don't get to decide who gets God's love and God's blessings and who doesn't. And so that's kind of what the topic, and that's the purpose of the idea of solidarity. The solidarity is saying that everybody, we're all brothers and sisters, you know, we're all family members. So, to give you an example, it's Thanksgiving dinner at your house, right? And you invite all the members of your family in New England to come for dinner. Now, if some people dress funny, they're still invited. If certain people have bad hygiene, they're still invited. Might make you a little uncomfortable. If someone else, you know, has some kind of an existence in the family that doesn't make sense to you, and they talk about things that you feel like they're speaking a foreign language, sometimes it happens between parents and children, they're still invited. The only people that are not invited to the table are the people that, when they come to the table, are going to make it unsafe for the rest of the people at the table. You know? So for us to deal with certain factions of individuals because they're making it unsafe is fine. But to exclude people because they come from one background or one situation or another is not fine. So for starters, what I'd like to do is, the best way to learn all of this is personal stories. And so if you look at your personal story, there's most likely going to be something in your family background or your personal background that has caused you to somewhere along the road be marginalized. And that's a wound, but it's also a blessing. Because if we become in touch with how we've been marginalized, then we can have more, you know, spiritual energy to be in solidarity with other people, even if their struggles are not ours. So I'm going to share with you my story briefly, and then we're going to break up in 2 or 3s and have people identify in ways that they may have been, they or their family may have been marginalized along the road. So I'm Dan Mahoney. I'm an Irish Catholic. I'm also a recovering alcoholic, and I am someone who struggled all my life with dyslexia and attention deficit disorder. So those are 3 areas of my life that have caused me at different times to feel marginalized or pushed to the side. You know? This guy doesn't get it, or, you know, what's this guy's problem? Can't he just tighten up his bootstraps and get on with his life? And the reason why I bring up the Irish Catholic part is that historically, in 1840, my family came to the United States because of the potato famines. And when they got here, being Irish and being Catholic was not a good thing. there weren't a lot of jobs. My family was good at drinking and fighting, and so the only job they could get was to be mercenaries. And so basically when the Civil War broke out, they were very well employed on both sides of the Mason-Dixon line. There were Mahoneys that were Union soldiers, and there were Mahoneys that were Confederate soldiers, and they were killing each other as a result of being marginalized. Now, of course, like most Americans, a lot of us, you know, through the generations, we deal with that, and we grow and we move forward. But to give you an example of how long that lasted, I remember being a little boy in the 60s, and how a guy named John Fitzgerald Kennedy was running for the presidency of the United States. And for many people, they were less concerned of whether he could do the job than whether a Catholic should be elected and put in the White House. And now that sounds like it's, you know, we've had an African-American president, we've had a whole variety of different people in the role. But in 1960, it sounds like a stupid question. Can someone who's Irish and Catholic be president of the United States? But but back then it wasn't. It was a real question. Should we elect someone who is Irish and Catholic? And so if you think about that, 120 years. Is that 120 years? Or, yes, 120 years to go from being unemployed to Irish being unemployed, the Irish running for presidency, and still asking the question, you know, this person's Irish Catholic. Is he too broken to be the president of the United States? So that's the idea of being marginalized. So what I'd like us to do, and depending on how many people at your table, if you could break into groups of 2 or 3 and identify in some area that you and or your family may have been marginalized along the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah.